Hey guys, I'm the Great Jedi and welcome back to the channel. So today's video is going to be more of a refresher one with little bits of news updates, and we're going to be going over everything that's confirmed and what we can expect from this point going forward in the Star Wars universe, with some extra information of whether or not certain projects are shelved or changed or canceled from an interview with Kathleen Kennedy, who is the president of Lucasfilm, for those that don't know. So to kick off the video, there are lots of Star Wars projects in the works, from gaming to shows and to movies, and that's what we're going to be focusing on in this video, not necessarily the books, comics, and other things. So with gaming, we just got the newly announced Star Wars open world game, Star Wars Outlaws, coming out next year. We got Star Wars Hunters coming out supposedly this year. There's Respawn's Star Wars FPS game and Bit Reactor strategy game. There's Star Wars Eclipse, the KOTOR remake, and the Skydance New Media Star Wars game. And what's really cool about this year and beyond is that this is the first year since George Lucas owned Star Wars where any company can pretty much make Star Wars games. There's no longer that exclusive contract between Disney and EA that just ended not too long ago, which I actually feel like will mark a new era for Lucasfilm Games, as I thought it would back when they first announced all this back at the beginning of 2021. So with this means that all these different companies can make a Star Wars game, which adds competition, and competition is great for us fans because if they're wanting to make that money, they're going to have to make good games, and it's going to force them to constantly want to top each other. So we'll just have to wait and see how that goes over the next couple of years, but I have a feeling it's going to be good, and we already have 7 confirmed games in the works, and I have no doubt there's even more in the works behind the scenes that aren't ready to be announced yet. Now, moving away from Star Wars gaming into the meat of the video, which has to do with the confirmed movies and shows, let's go over all the projects that are confirmed so far to refresh our memory before we get into the news and updates, because it will be important for context. So there's the Episode 10 movie that focuses on Rey, there's Rogue Squadron, there's a Taika Waititi film, the James Mangold film, and the Dave Filoni film. Now, correct me if I'm wrong with any confirmed sources in the comments, but I'm pretty sure that's all the movies that have been confirmed, which I mean is a lot. That's already 5, and they already have lots of other shows, including The Mandalorian Season 4, The Acolyte, The Sid Show Season 3. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. I always get confused when I watch that show. I meant The Bad Batch Season 3, Andor Season 2, Tales of the Jedi Season 2, Rangers of the New Republic, Ahsoka, Skeleton Crew, Lando, and A Droid Story. So that now brings us to questions like, are any of these projects canceled like the leaks say, or what? What does Kathleen Kennedy have to say? Well, in an interview, she said that most of the projects are not shelved.
And for all the movies that we did hear about today, we do know that there are some that have been shelved.
Well, they haven't been shelved. Most things haven't been shelved.
And shows like Lando, which we still haven't heard much about, but are still happening.
Donald Glover recently talked about the Lando series. Can you give us any update on that? Is it still happening?
I can just tell you it's still happening.
Yeah.
And he's very excited about it.
Which makes sense because they never said that they are shelving anything to begin with. That has all been leaks, and we'll talk more about leaks in just a minute. Although, when asked about the Rogue Squadron movie that was supposed to come out, this is what Kathleen Kennedy had to say. She said that they are still talking about it, but it may not come in the form of a movie, but possibly a show instead. Regardless, it's still happening in one way or another at the moment.
Now, Rogue Squadron, any chance?
Rogue Squadron, that definitely is something that we still talk about. Whether it's a movie or whether it ends up being in the series space, that's definitely something.
Then when asked about the Kevin Feige Star Wars film, she went on to say that it was never confirmed and it was never anything, and that they were just in talks.
Yeah.
And Kevin Feige's project. So could those still see the light of day?
Kevin Feige's project was something announced in the press, or I suppose fandom. But there was nothing ever got developed.
Right.
We never discussed an idea. We did, as everybody knows, Kevin's a huge Star Wars fan. And, if he did come up with something, I would be all ears, but that's never really happened. So it's not an abandoned project. Right. It just didn't happen.
Which is actually true. That's why they report on it on the channel. And this is actually a big problem with misinformation and people just taking other people's word for it. You have these so-called journalists that twist information to fit a narrative that will get clicks and views so that they can get more money. and people believe it without looking at the facts presented and don't make their own assessment or aren't even able to look at something and tell if it's truly confirmed or not. For example, when a journalist asks someone if they would be interested in a Star Wars project and they reply saying that they would be open and that Lucasfilm has talked to them, that doesn't mean that the person is directing a new Star Wars film. Let that sink in. That's not how development works, and I agree with Kathleen Kennedy on that one. I've personally been very careful in presenting the facts to you guys across all the news updates on the channel and not lying by getting your guys' hopes up for extra views. And I've always tried to keep that credibility up by showing you guys the evidence on screen and always linking the concrete confirmed sources below so that way you guys can check them out for yourselves and not having some type of narrative to spin. Not only that, I typically just ignore a lot of the fake stuff, but when I do think that there is some leak that's worth talking about and I think is maybe credible, I may tell you guys, but I don't hide it and say that it's confirmed. I tell you guys straight out. I just do the research, present the facts, and then sometimes give my 2 cents of what I think about it. That's it. So for those that trust all those articles that say Kevin Feige's working on a Star Wars film or this or that, you just can't take that as confirmation. And I'm bringing this up because I know a lot of you guys probably thought that that movie was confirmed and are probably let down from all the different comments I get and what I see. And for those that still don't believe that it's not confirmed, you are getting that from a confirmed source, the president of Lucasfilm. That's how you can tell if it's confirmed or not, whether it's the person who's in charge or if it's on their website or some official announcement, not the person who wants to be hired. I really don't understand this part of the fandom. I mean, I do from a kid's perspective because sometimes they just don't know better, but grown adults really need to look at the facts. And I'm not trying to give this stereotypical journalist thing and fit them in a box because I'm really not. I'm a journalist to a certain extent myself. And all I'm trying to do by mentioning this is to remind you guys to be careful of where you're getting your news, or at least what you guys believe. Like, make sure it's the truth by making sure they are saying it with some credible source and not just them saying it. Otherwise, you might be lied to and get let down. Anyways, we're starting to get off topic, so just let me know what your guys' thoughts are about all this in the comments down below, and we can continue this conversation from there. And as always, if you guys want to see the full interview for yourself, the link and sources are in the description as always. I did talk about all that main stuff here in the video, but it is there for you. Anyways, that's going to do it for this video. If you did enjoy it and want to stay up to date on all true Star Wars news, please consider subscribing and liking the video. Only if you enjoyed, of course. It's completely free and you can unsub at any time if you don't like the future content. What are you doing? Try it. And if you didn't like the video, that's cool too. Please do me a favor and feel free to give the video a dislike and leave any constructive criticism in the comments for me on how I can make this content better. I really want to make it better for you guys. I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and may the Force be with you always.
Hello there. You are no match for me. Your move.